Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is the NFL podcast Laces Out. Myself and Paul are reviewing Week 9 of the NFL 2025 season and looking forward to Week 10 of the season. We've definitely crossed the halfway point at this point in time, and you would think that it was kind of obvious, who was going to go all the way, who was going to go to the playoffs, who might even go to the Super Bowl, but it absolutely isn't. Now, I may have already prepared my tinfoil hat for why that might be, and I may go through that shortly. Stay tuned to find out my opinions on why that might be, but before that, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave reviews where you can leave reviews, leave comments where you can leave comments, but most of all, share this podcast around. If you know somebody that likes the NFL, or, if you want to send this to somebody as a gift, or as, a declaration of love, maybe. Send this podcast to people is the short version. They'll love it, I'm sure. Right, let's get going. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Laces out. Don't sue me. That was my own rendition of. I think it's the Monday. Is it the Monday Night Football?
It's ESPN's football jingle, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think it would go down as Monday.
It does it on it sometimes used to do it on the app. I don't think we're even on that app anymore.
Well, I think it still does. Because I think it still classed as ESPN. It still does class it as it's the opening gambit for the draft.
The draft, isn't it?
In fantasy, but yes, it's obviously only if you've got your sound turned all the way up to 11. So.
Which, as we know in this house, it's always turned up to 11. So, here we are. It's week, fill in the blank. And I'm here. My glamorous co-host is here, Mr. Paul Williams. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, because quite frankly, we said no this season. We're not doing it. They're too unruly. They turn up, they say rude words, and then they leave. So we're like, no, not happening. Obviously, we'll have to get a little bit of housekeeping business out of the way. It is my duty to send congratulations to your good self for a game well won this week. Very dominant force, keeping you at the tip top of the table. Question: when you win a game at the top of the league, does it feel better or worse?
Well, at the moment, winning seems to be keeping me a half win ahead of a certain other person that might be frequenting that particular house. So at the moment, I'm just taking every win that I can get to keep myself atop the standings.
Yes, a review was done this evening over the leaderboard, and apparently that half a win is very crucial at the top of the table at the moment. It separates not one, not two, but three places, which is always interesting. So yes, congratulations to you for a well-won victory. May your victorying last, and all of your good grammar. So we are here for. Let me check. I knew I had something to do. So we're reviewing Week 9. My word. And that means we're previewing Week 10, and I think we can all agree that means we are well over at this point, the halfway point. My word. The nights are dark. The mornings are also dark, and I would say it's cold, but it's not. It's unseasonably warm this week, apparently. However, that doesn't change the fact that it's dark most of the time. I had that thing this afternoon where I was like, I am guessing it's about to rain because it's really dark in here. And this went on for a while and it didn't rain. And then I went, no, it's just dark. I need to put the light on. I was like, I'm going to have to go and put the light on. So I guess I just haven't registered that it's dark on an afternoon. But anyway, enough about the weather. Yes, indeed, we are here to talk week 9 to start with, and then we'll move on to talking about week 10 in the National Football League. So, I know for a fact I predicted some games last week, and I can damn well be sure that you predicted some games last week. So, the bestest place to start is absolutely going to be, how did that turn out for you and me?
Well, it was a bit of a carbon copy, rinse, repeat scenario in ways. So last week, one of us got 3 games incorrect. One of us got 5 games incorrect. This week, one of us got 3 games incorrect. One of us got 5 games incorrect. So, the 3 games that we both got incorrect were the Cowboys to beat the Cardinals. That did not happen.
It did not.
And then 2 very surprising results. We both had the Packers to beat the Panthers because it was in Green Bay.
And they're the Panthers.
And they're the Panthers. And we had the Lions to beat the Vikings in Detroit. And neither happened, which was very, very strange. So those were the 3 results that we both got wrong. However, there were 2 other games that one of us incorrectly picked. They were the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, that's got me written all over it.
And for those of you who can see us on YouTube right now, you can see Mr. Cookies screwing up his face quite considerably. And that is because he did indeed pick the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, to give Andy a little bit of due here, him picking the Bengals to beat the Bears should have been the correct call because that game got insane at the 2-minute warning. I think the Bengals at the 2-minute warning were still down by 2 scores, scored the touchdown, got the onside kick by a very strange means. It was, I think he just flicked off the foot of one of the Chicago Bears guys, and the Bengals recovered it, and then obviously scored the touchdown to take the lead. And then, the Bears managed to get a touchdown. And this all happened within 2 minutes. Absolutely insane. The Colts Steelers game, I don't think anyone really saw coming, apart from this game. But I did. You might have seen this. I did enjoy the stuff that was doing. The fact that someone had focused in on the picture of Daniel Jones, his face sort of looking a bit concerned, shall we say, and all the New York Giants fans are like, yeah, we all know this face. It's been a good ride, Colts, but Danny Dimes is back. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was quite funny.
I would love to do an instant replay of this time last week and the conversation that I'm pretty sure we had around this game. And I think I was like agreeing with you that it was absolutely a possibility the Steelers would win and the Colts probably are going to take a loss at some point. But I thought the Colts were playing well and blah, 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 and that's why I went that way. So I imagine that was the conversation we had. And I think it's very much a situation that unless they're on a bye, it's
very much going to depend what they do this week. So stay tuned for that.
So yes, so just to clarify, to get the facts and figures out there, Andy had 9 of 14 selections correct. I had 11 of 14 selections correct. So that does give me the weekly win. Andy moves on to 90 from a possible 135 games correctly predicted so far this season. I move on to 89 from a possible 135. So it is the scenario we discussed at the start. I find myself 1 point behind in the overall standings, but 1 win ahead in the week-by-week standings.
Crazy.
So that's the 14 games done just in general. Side bet-wise, so we came into this, Andy was 19 from 32. I was 25 from 32. So I had a slight advantage of 6 points. I didn't do very well, as the first 2 selections I had were the Green Bay Packers to beat the Carolina Panthers, and the Detroit Lions to beat the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm already 0 for 2. I'm already 0 for 2, ladies and gentlemen. That is not good reading. I did, however, salvage some credibility and poise by taking the San Francisco 49ers to beat the New York Giants and the New England Patriots to beat the Atlanta Falcons. So I get 2 points from a possible 4, moving me on to 27 from a possible 36. Could Mr. Cook capitalise? Well, he had a good start. He had the Rams to beat the New Orleans Saints. He had the Chargers to beat the Tennessee Titans. He had the Broncos to beat the Houston Texans, which at one point did look a little bit suspect, did look a little bit like it could come back to bite him, but it didn't. He's 3 for 3, ladies and gentlemen. Can he make it? 4 out of 4. Well, all good things have to come to an end, don't they, ladies and gentlemen? But not for Mr. Cook when he picked the Seahawks to beat the Commanders. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That is 4 from 4. A perfect slate for Mr. Cook, moving him on to 23 from a possible 36 and moving him to within 4 points. So all he needs is a clean sweep and me to absolutely shit the bed 1 week and he'll be right back in the mix. So, weekly picks done. Side bet done. How did our bankers and outsiders get on? So I will just move to my settled bets from Sky Bet. So last week it was my honours to have the first pick of all 14 games. My banker to win the game was the Seattle Seahawks to beat the Washington Commanders. And my outsider pick was the Pittsburgh Steelers to beat the Indianapolis Colts. Very happy with those. Andy's banker, which did come in, was the Los Angeles Rams to beat the New Orleans Saints. That was 10 to 1 on. So for those of you who don't know betting, that means to win £1, Andy would have had to stake 10 English pounds. It came in though, so if he hadn't staked 10 English pounds, he'd now be £11 better off. So cha-ching. Sadly, we're 3 for 3. Sadly, Andy's outsider pick of the New York Giants to beat the San Francisco 49ers was unsuccessful. So for yet another week, we go 3 of 4. Sadly, no money coming into us here at Cook Towers. That fourfold would have netted us not a massive win. Would have only been £7.82 was the total winnings we would have had on offer. So £7.82 did not wing its way to us. Sad. That's all of week 9's information from our perspective. But there is some delicious, tasty stats to go through from week 9.
2 things. One, I did not put a bet on last week. couldn't bring myself to do it. I was tired of getting punched in the dick and was like, do you know what? I think I'm going to take a week off from dick punching and, let the area heal somewhat. It had absolutely nothing to do with, yet again, my betting account being down to pennies. It was more to do with the fact that I wanted to take some time off from getting the aforementioned punched in the dick. Something that I may have already mentioned to my glamorous co-host, which I'm sure he was filled to the brim with dread. And I don't want to dwell on too much, but I do want it to be on record so that we can cast back to this point if we ever need to. A couple of things from the weekend's games. Unfortunately for the Stats Mistress, I listened to a podcast that is hosted by a comedian who is a big American football fan, may or may not enjoy the odd conspiracy theory, may or may not park their car in the garage of if the NFL was scripted, here's how it might go. And so this is not me. This is not an original me thing. I'm just going to highlight something. They highlighted that how this season there seems to be a lot of games that are coming down to fourth quarter, like deciders, like going into the fourth quarter. There's a lot of like, oh, will they, won't they, or oh, they could come back to win, or I don't want to put the spotlight on anybody, but did the Broncos score a touchdown at the weekend, or did they win purely off the back of field goals?
Oh, I need to look that up actually, because
yeah,
if that is the
so
case,
while you do that, I'll just lay out this theory, and the theory is that it is all to do with advertising. And there's absolutely no point in paying for advertising in a fourth quarter blowout because a percentage of people will have turned their TVs off because A, they don't want to see their team getting absolutely humped. B, somebody's like, well, there's nothing in this game. They're not a fan of either team, but they're watching that game that week and they're like, there's nothing left here. This game is over. I might as well turn it off. And advertising revenue goes out the window. However, if you can somehow, I don't know how you might do that, ensure that games come down to the wire more often than not. Like I say, how many games the Broncos have had this season have been decided right at the end of the game? A game that myself and the Stats Mistress watched with quite a close eye on was obviously Game of the Week, Chiefs Bills. There's absolutely no way we're missing that game in this house. And that's right, it came down to the last few seconds of the game decider. Not the only game this week where that was the case. If you go to the Monday Night Football, the Cowboys could have won that game in the fourth quarter. Something else that I wanted to highlight, I've started using a phrase this season more than any other, where I've said, I don't believe that team won. I believe that team lost. There are situations where you've got games where teams are going out and you get a game where you go, that team wasn't the best team on the day, but the team on the other side of the ball were the worst team on the day. And when you've got millions and millions and millions of people across the entire United States who would give a body part to be an NFL football player, you would imagine that the people who actually do it for a living and get paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, you've got players who are on $500 million contract millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. You have to presume that you are paying for the absolute best, not only player, but person in the entire country. And that person should be on absolute tip top form at all times. You are paying for that. Whether you're a fan, whether you're an owner, whether you're somebody who's buying a jersey, whatever it is, you are paying for that. When you look at some of the games, like there was points in the Chiefs Bills is the one that like we put the closest eye on this week. And it's like, oh, look at that player running through that massive gap. The giant gap that's right there for them to run straight through. The Cowboys-Cardinals game. Did the Cardinals win, or did the Cowboys just go, there you go on through. Yep, it's just over there. Just run it through. Go that way. Put the ball over there. No, here, let me take you. Here, let me hold your hand. Come on, here we go. There we go. There you go. That's a touchdown. Now, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to get the tinfoil hat out. I don't want to put it on. I don't want to be the guy. I just want to go on record to say it would be more obvious if, I don't know, like, let's say, for example, like pulling something out, like, let's say 30 people were arrested by the FBI for, something sports gambling related or something like that. Anyway, I just wanted to go on record as having been said that not all games seem to be as cut and dry as this team were better than this team. Some games seem to be this team were just worse. That's my 2 penneth. I'm going to take the tinfoil hat off, and I'm now going to read you the first of the NFL Week 9 stats. Credit to USA Today. Apparently it's just USA Today. We don't know who it is. Maybe it's AI. Although I think Paul can attest to the fact that AI doesn't know shit about NFL stats. Because when you pick through them and go, that makes literally no sense. Number 1. Oh, credit to the stats mistress. She got these in early in the day. She wanted it done and dusted. She had better shit to be doing with her time, like buying cheap sweets. Number 1. No lead is safe. No team is as good as you might think. Come on. It's almost like this was written for me. And maybe none are as bad either. This is starting to feel a little spooky right now. The Indianapolis Colts at 7-1 entered the weekend with the league's best record and got handed a 27-20 in Pittsburgh by a Steelers squad coming off consecutive losses. I'm not sure that was the stat to read after my tirade. Anyway, number 2. Facing a Pittsburgh defense that was among the league's most woeful. What a word. I love the word. And the NFL's worst against the pass. Going into Sunday, Indianapolis quarterback Daniel Jones, 5 turnovers. Played not like a potential most valuable player candidate, but like the New York Giants version of himself, facing the steel curtain. That performance helped render fellow MVP aspirant, another fantastic word, Jonathan Taylor into a mere mortal. 57 yards from scrimmage and nary a touchdown. Do you remember this time last week when I was like, I wish I had him on my fantasy team? Number 3. The Buffalo Bills have now beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 5 times in the regular season. Buffalo prevailed 28-21 at Highmark Stadium on Sunday. In so doing, the Bills head coach, no, that's absolutely not what that says. In so doing, the Bills held Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes to the first game of his illustrious 9-year career when he did not complete at least 50% of his passes. The 3-time Super Bowl MVP connected on just 15 of his 34 throws. Oh dear. Number 4. Mahomes' chances for a third league MVP also took a hit Sunday, but you can bet he hasn't forgotten that he's also 4-0 against Buffalo in the playoffs. Lol. Number 5. If an inability to handle Dowdle wasn't bad enough, the Packers didn't move the ball very well 6 days after torching the very same Steelers who rocked the Colts. And who knew Dowdle couldn't trust a pair of celebratory pumps following his second visit to the end zone Sunday? Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy around the pumps. 6. Green Bay went from NFC's number 1 projected playoff seed at the start of Sunday to number 4 by day's end, and fortunate to still be atop the quickly condensing NFC. Oh. Finally for me, number 7, the idle Philadelphia Eagles and Tampa Bay Buccaneers moved to the top of the NFC standings along with the Seattle Seahawks and Los Angeles Rams. Though the reigning champs are technically now first thanks to their 5-1 conference record, meanwhile the Colts retain the top spot in the AFC for now by virtue of their 6-1 record in the conference games. That aside, they are in a 3-way tie with the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos, who both improved to 7-2 on Sunday. The 2 teams that I feel we need to keep a closer eye on this season, and I said to the stats mistress earlier, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've said every week that the Seahawks are definitely playing the under the radar game. They don't want anyone to look at them, talk about them, be near them, touch them, or even consider them. They just want to come in, win games, go home, and see how it goes in the playoffs. The other team people should be paying a little bit more attention to is absolutely the New England Patriots, because I have a feeling they're playing a similar game. That is it for my stats. I'll hand you over to the glamorous one.
Yes, indeed. And keeping up the playoff talk, the reigning conference champion Chiefs, still dynastic as far as we know, would not make the playoffs if the season ended today. But don't worry, because it doesn't. With Jones and Taylor flopping in the Steel City, Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs falling in Western New York, and the Bucs' Baker Mayfield on bye, have any new MVP candidates entered what's maybe become the opposite of a shortlist? Maybe Patriots quarterback Drake May. He orchestrated yet another win Sunday with a typically efficient performance, even if it was the second-year star's most scintillating afternoon in a one-point escape from the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe Buffalo's Josh Allen hangs onto the hardware for another year, after generating another 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 passing against the Chiefs. Or maybe it's quarterback Matthew Stafford, who's thrown 9 touchdown passes with 0 interceptions in the last 2 weeks for the scalding Rams, who have won their last 3 games by a combined score of 86-20. Wow. Speaking of surprises, who had the Minnesota Vikings quarterback one J.J. McCarthy freshly reinserted into the lineup and accounted for 3 touchdowns, beating the Lions in Detroit for the first time since the 2020 season? So not us. How about Chicago rookie running back Kyle Monangai, Starting in place of the injured starter DeAndre Swift, Monungai exploded for 198 yards from scrimmage in Sunday's victory. Overall, the ascending Bears and rookie head coach Ben Johnson enjoyed their most prolific offensive output of the season, with 47 points and 576 yards. Quarterback Caleb Williams passed for 3 scores and caught his first career touchdown from wide receiver DJ Moore on a trick play. I completely missed that. I don't know why, but I just did not see that.
Because obviously it's not the first time that they've done something like that. But yeah, it was really good. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like funsies.
Cincinnati quarterback Joe Flacco did torch Chicago's defense for 470 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. Remarkably, the first time in Flacco's 18-year career that he'd thrown for more than 400 yards. That is absolutely outrageous. And finally, the kicking portion of the NFL record books continues to be rewritten. Jacksonville Jaguars kicker Cam Little hitting a record 68-yarder in his team's 30-29 overtime win at Las Vegas. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your stats for Week 9. Done and dusted.
Well, there we go. I believe that is Week 9 in the history books. Done. A big juicy bow. This week we will be using gold with sparkles.
Oh,
I am saving the purple bow for playoff season. So there we go. And just like every week of recent times, we have managed to get last week in under the wire. So we're going to step away. We're going to take a small one. Break, that is. We're going to return with Week 10, double digits, baby. And it's going to start heating up. We will open with a text exchange between me and my co-host, where I predicted something that was apparently not only wrong, couldn't have been more wrong. Stay tuned for that. We will be right back. There we go. Just like that. For us, 3 minutes. For you, 0.3 of a second. I keep it tight when I do that editing. I keep it real tight. I promised you a little peek behind the curtain, and when I make a promise, I am almost definitely going to break it. But not today, people. So here we go. This is a conversation from I want to get it right. Here we go. 10:26 this morning, I said to Mr. Paul Williams this phrase: imagine there could potentially only be one difference of picks this week, maybe 2. We talked some utter shit between there and 10:36. Paul fired back with, oddly enough, could be our week with the most differences. That's how well I am at predicting these here games. I looked at these games and went, I can pretty much guarantee the one game that Paul's going to pick different to me. And if I had to push, I could pick 2. The rest, we are absolutely on the same page, definitely. In fact, I might even send him his picks so he can just put them in the book. Couldn't have been more wrong. So, speaking of morons, I send you some picks. I send you some side bet, banker bet, outside of bets. I feel that one of them was, I don't want to toot my own horn. Nobody else is going to. So I feel it was inspired. But stay tuned for that. Before we get to that, we need to talk about the week's games. Week 10. Talk to me about the buys this week. Are we out of buy?
We are not. There are 14 games in play, which means there are 4 teams scheduled for the bye in Week 10. Those 4 teams are as follows. The Cincinnati Bengals, who will probably think, yeah, bye'd be nice, seems though we just keep losing by ridiculous scores. The Dallas Cowboys, who probably just want the season to end and for football to never start again. The Kansas City Chiefs, who will be reeling off the back of that defeat by the Bills, although regular season defeats by the Bills seem to be a bit of a regular occurrence for them, so maybe it won't bother them that much. And the final team on the bye this week is the Tennessee Titans, who, let's face it, are another one who probably just want the season to be over so they can start thinking about next year's draft and who they'll be taking with the 1, 2, or 3 pick if they don't trade it away. That is always a possibility. So, 4 teams on bye, 14 games left. Like Mr. Cook said, there was talk that this could be one of those weeks where it was a nice, straightforward, same picks across the board, but there are indeed 6 games where we have differences of opinion.
Wow!
It's not the first game of the week where we see the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. We've both gone with the Denver Broncos there. Now, to be fair, the Raiders did show a little bit of fight in their matchup against the Jaguars, kept the game competitive and very close. Obviously could have won it, but for a missed 2-point conversion right at the death. But it is the Broncos at home, so you would have thought probably will have too much for the Raiders. Next up, we move to Sunday, and it is I was going to say 2:30 kickoff, but it might not even be 2:30. It might be a 1:30 game over here in the UK. I'm not entirely sure, but it's we're back on the international series, ladies and gentlemen, and this one is taking place from, for the first time ever, Berlin, Germany, the Olympia Stadion, a stadium where I have consumed a football game. It is a very nice stadium. It has been there for a number of years. It is the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Indianapolis Colts, and both myself and Mr. Cook have backed the Colts to bounce back from their shellacking by the Pittsburgh Steelers. We move to the Sunday 6 p.m. slate of games, and we see the New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. We've both taken the Carolina Panthers. We have the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. We've both taken the Chicago Bears. Next up, we have the Jaguars at the Houston Texans, and this is our first difference of opinion game. Mr. Cook has taken the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have taken the Houston Texans as they are at home, and they will have. Will they have? They'll probably have a little bit of hope, I suppose, because they did put up a good fight against the Broncos at the weekend. The one thing I hadn't taken into account is the fact that CJ Stroud is still in the concussion protocol because he took a nasty hit from one of the Broncos defenders. You'd like to think he probably will clear the concussion protocol, but even then, the Texans kept it competitive, even when they were playing with their backup quarterback. So I don't know. Divisional matchups do weird things to teams as well, so I won't be surprised if the Texans won this one. But obviously, Mr. Cook thinks differently. Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. We've both taken the Bills in that one. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Minnesota Vikings. It's purple on purple. It's another difference of opinion. I have taken the Vikings, fresh off the back of their win against the Lions. Andy has taken the Ravens. So, One of us will be correct. One of us will be incorrect. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets. And, yes, surprise, surprise, it's another difference of opinion game. I've gone with the Jets. Mr. Cook has gone with the Browns. Listen, this is one of those games where it could be a 50-50 coin flip for me. I think, when I was looking at it, I actually think the Jets are the favourite in this game. I think it can only be because they're the home team. So I'm telling you, it's weird. It's weird, but stranger things have happened. I think this is one of those situations where it's like, is it possible for both teams to lose because they're both terrible? I just have a feeling that the Jets they'll just get something here. The last of the 6 o'clock games is probably the game of the weekend in that slate, as we see the New England Patriots travelling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers off the back of their bye. Mr. Cook has taken the Buccaneers. I've gone with the Patriots on this one. I think they're riding a bit of a wave at the moment. I know they're going to Tampa. I know Tampa coming off the bye, so they'll be refreshed and whatnot. I just think the Patriots are like they're just on one at the moment, and I think they're probably going to have they just have a little bit too much for the Bucks. It probably not going to lie, it probably is the one that I had the most sort of the most trouble picking, but something about them just makes me want to take the Patriots. So that's what I've done. We move into the 9 o'clock slate games, and we see the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Now, obviously, this is Cardinals with the Cardinals coming off the back of a win against the Dallas Cowboys, a very convincing win, nonetheless. However, myself and Mr. Cook think that will matter not, as we have both gone with the Seattle Seahawks to get the win here. Next up, we have. Oh, I didn't actually realise this is time. It's all of the NFC West teams playing each other this weekend. It's the Los Angeles Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. Even though it's in San Francisco, or Santa Clara if you want to be technical, we've both taken the Rams. I can only presume that's because the Rams are looking very, very strong at the moment. Matthew Stafford looking particularly unplayable in his last 2 games. Obviously, the 9 touchdowns to 0 interceptions stat was very telling. We both clearly think that the Rams will have a little bit too much for the San Francisco 49ers. We have the Lions at the Washington Commanders, and given the fact that Jane Daniels doesn't currently have a right elbow, well, it might be his left elbow. Either way, one of his elbows was facing the wrong way when he left the pitch on Sunday evening. So, he definitely.
I was saying to Liam, has he not just literally come back from injury?
Yeah, I think there was. He definitely had to come back from some. So I can't remember what the injury was, but might have been something to do with. I think he might have hyperextended his knee or done something to his ankle. But something was definitely. The interesting thing was that his mum had gone out on Twitter and said something along the lines of, "Please don't please stop making the comparisons between my son and Robert Griffin III. I know they played for the same team. I know they both had injury concerns and stuff like that, but they are different people, and please don't put that on my son," basically, which I thought was quite funny. But I should have bookmarked a tweet, but someone pointed out that Commander's field is a little bit cursed. Not just that Commander's field, that Commander's half of the field, because I think it was something like 6 or 7 different injuries had taken place there. And then there was one thing that was off the pitch when I think that's like a part of the stand or a part of the rigging for the broadcast fell down and almost crushed Jalen Hurts or something like that in a pre-game warm-up or something like that. So it sounds a bit crazy. But yeah, Commander's probably not going to be Jane Daniels. Definitely for this game, but dare I say at this point, if he seems a bit snake, do we just shut him down for the season to avoid him getting any more injuries and losing years off his career rather than just a couple of games? So we've both gone with the Lions to get the win there. The Sunday night football sees the Steelers going to LA to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. It's another difference of opinion game. I've gone with the Steelers. Mr. Cook has backed the Chargers.
Which is weird because I've spent all season talking about the fact that the Chargers have fucked me in every way, shape, or form. And when I looked at that game, I went, shouldn't do it. Should go the other way. I don't know if I've got some kind of psychological block around Steelers. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's not like me being like, Chargers will get it done. Maybe it's the fact that I looked at the Steelers and was like, hey, where I don't know where that's coming from because apparently they're, winning games. So
yeah, the Steelers are definitely one of those teams that it's just you never really know which team you're going to get. If that makes sense, because going into the game against the Colts, I think they had one of, if not the worst defense in the league. Well, it wasn't the worst, but it was definitely an underperforming defense, shall we say? And obviously that's why it came as such a shock when they got the win. I don't know. There's something about them in the minute. I just kind of back them, and they seem to be doing the business for me. And our final game of the week is the Monday Night Football live from Lambeau Field, where the defending champ Philadelphia Eagles will be taking on the Green Bay Packers. Eagles coming off the bye, Packers coming off a loss, and it's our final difference of opinion of the week. Mr. Cook has gone with the Eagles fresh off said bye. I, however, have gone with the Green Bay Packers, simply for the fact that I do not think the Packers will lose back-to-back games at home. That's my only thing. That's my only thought. That's my only thought process, is that teams don't really like going into Lambeau, of course, unless they are the Carolina Panthers, and they've just got balls the size of grapefruits or whatever, But it is what it is. I don't know, like this Packers at home, a Monday night. It's a prime time game. They'll be under the lights. There'll be all sorts of people watching. It's just got that feel to it, where something needs to happen. I don't know. Stranger things have happened, and we're about to watch the Eagles absolutely blow them out. I think it's going to be like 40-6 or something like that. So that is our 14 games predicted top to bottom.
T to B.
T to B. The next thing left to do is for myself and Mr. Cook to divvy up those 14 games, discard 6 of them, and pick the 8 best that we see as being one way or another in relation to who will win, otherwise known as the side bet, ladies and gentlemen. So, as we said, coming out of week 9, Andy has 23 from a possible 36 correct points. Mr. Paul Williams, 27 from a possible 36 points.
To see it.
So technically, Mr. Cook is behind in the standings, but did win last week. Would you like the first pick? Or would you like me to pick first and give you 2 picks straight after? It is entirely up to you, sir.
It's one of those, I suppose I'm used to taking a first. But let's change it up. Let's mix it up. Let's put a little mix on it. How about you take the first pick?
No.
Go on, treat yourself.
All right. What's that, you mean, ladies and gentlemen? That's the sound of me being put into bat by Mr. Cook. I love it. Do you know what? Just when you think you've worked out the side bet, this guy comes in. he changes the rules. He sideswipes you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So I have a full slate to pick from. The pen has been clipped. Where do I go first? Yeah, it's. This is probably going to make Andy bring up a little portion of his tea. But with my first pick in the side bet, I'm going to pick. He knows. You can just see in his face. Anyone watching on YouTube, you can see in his face already. He knows that I'm about to say the words the Carolina Panthers.
Oh my God. Oh God.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. When the Saints record only their second win of the season, I will look like a fool. I will take the Carolina Panthers to beat the New Orleans Saints. Over to you, sir, for your
I'm not going to lie. In a lot of ways, it is an obvious choice, but just saying it. Honestly, I was like, the first game off the docket absolutely has to be the Buffalo Bills to beat the Miami Dolphins with their eyes closed and all of their limbs tied behind their backs. But you didn't go that way. So get that right in the book right now, because I'm absolutely going with that. I do like the look of a particular game. I'm not going to say it because I don't want it to go in the book too soon. I may leave it for later in the selections. That one is tasty. So tasty, in fact, I will be taking it. The Detroit Lions, who beat the rather battered and bruised Washington Commanders. Obviously, we've talked in the past about the Commanders having a reasonable run the last sort of season or two. When your quarterback can't throw a ball in the direction he wants to because his arm doesn't face that way, it's kind of a little bit of a writing on the wall situation. Yes, admittedly, they just have to replace that one player. However, Lions coming off the back of, I think we can agree, quite a horrible loss, going up against a team that is a little bit battered and bruised. I see a little bit of a drubbing on this one, so I'll take the Lions for that. Back to you for a couple of cheeky ones.
So, apologies. I missed your first pick for listen to this week's football podcast, and you'll probably find out why. Sorry, I missed your first pick. I do apologise.
The Bills to beat the Dolphins.
Buffalo. Do you know what? I should have just known, really. That the only thing that put me off is the fact that it's in Miami. But I still do think the Bills will win that handsomely.
I think the Bills will win that handsomely. However, the Miami Dolphins at 2-7 have a horrible tendency to be like, should we try this week? Sure, let's. And then just rock up a 40-20 win, and you're like, where the fuck have you guys been all season? However, that was the way I went. And then, yes, the Lions to beat the Commanders.
One thing we should have covered slightly earlier in the podcast is that at the time of recording, it is currently the trade deadline day in the NFL.
I remembered it earlier. I was like, we need to mention that the trade deadline is coming to a close.
Now, as we record, the deadline has passed. So all trades that have been agreed are now, I would add out,
all trades are final.
Goes on after this point. But that might affect certain elements of teams moving forward. But obviously, for this sort of for this, it's just a case of it is what it is. We'll go with the knowledge that we have. So yes, Panthers for me, Bills, Lions for Andy. 2 selections for me to go with. I'll go with the Chicago Bears to beat the New York Giants.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. If you'd told me at the start of the season that in my side bet, 2 of the teams I'd be picking in my first 2 selections were the Panthers and the Bears, I'd be pissing myself. Yeah, Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks with the Arizona Cardinals will be my 3rd selection, which means it's back to you for your final 2.
See, that's cheeky because I had that sort of squirreled away for later in the podcast because I was like, I think I can slip that one under the radar. Could be controversial because you've gone the other way with this. I am going to stick with my pick, and I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Green Bay Packers. I could do another 45 minutes on why I think that's going to go that way, but that would just go into even worse of a conspiracy. Is that there? That. That. I don't know if I've got enough faith to do it, but there's that. Okay. I've got the basket of chips. I've thrown the chips up in the air and I've walked away. And I'm going to let those chips fall where they may by taking the Denver Broncos to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Every week so far for the last month, I have said the phrase, when is the luck going to run out for the Broncos? They are doing it purely on luck. I don't, 7-2 versus a 2-6. The numbers great. I don't think the 7-2 is what it appears on paper. 7-2 makes it look like a dominant team and a dominant force. How many of those 7 games have been won in the last quarter? How many of those 7 games have been won in the last few seconds of the game? Coming down to one score in play to go one way or another. It's not just, putting it through the uprights or whatever. It can come down to the other team not getting it done. So, in a lot of ways, a little bit of a dubious pick, but I am going to take it. I think that's mostly because I'm struggling.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm at this point, I'm kind of steering away from any of the games where we've had a bit of difference of opinion. Mainly because I wouldn't be surprised to see it go the opposite way to what I've picked. So in that regard, that only kind of leaves me with one game really that I can pick.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going anywhere near the Rams 49ers game.
Nope.
Because divisional matchup, no chance.
Nope.
So, even though it's being played in a different country, so both teams will have to travel, I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts to get back on the horse. Hey, Colts, get it? And beat the Atlanta Falcons.
So, interestingly enough, that was the game I mentioned. That was the game where I was like, that one I'd like to go with. The problem I've got is I am saying that this is the deciding game for the Colts this season. They win, they have the possibility of going certainly to the playoffs. They lose this week, you could see them not win another game. It could be that they were the thing that people have been fearing all this season, and it turns out they were just a flash in the pan. So I'd love to see them win. I wasn't prepared to put my house on it. So for that reason, I had to back away slowly and just say, I just can't this week. Obviously, I've then gone and picked the Broncos, which essentially the same boat.
Well, so to clarify, Andy's 4 teams in the side bet this week are the Buffalo Bills to beat the Miami Dolphins in Miami, the Detroit Lions to beat the Commanders in Washington, the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Packers in Green Bay, and the Denver Broncos to beat the Las Vegas Raiders at home. 3 road teams, 1 home team. I've gone with the Carolina Panthers to beat the Saints in Carolina. I've gone with the Bears to beat the Giants in Chicago, the Seahawks to beat the Cardinals in Seattle, and the Colts to beat the Falcons in Indianapolis. So I've gone with 4 home teams, I've noticed there. Interesting. Strange. Tune back in next week to see if one of us has got all 4 or even none of them correct. So that just leaves us to go through our outsiders and bankers pick for the week, or our bet, sorry. So it was Mr. Cook's honours this week to start off with the bankers and outsiders, and for his banker, he decided to take the 6-1 on Buffalo Bills to beat the Miami Dolphins. Is my banker for this week was the 1-2 or 2-1 on Chicago Bears to beat the New York Giants. Mr. Cook's outside bet, the 4-1 Las Vegas Raiders to beat the Denver Broncos. And my outsider, which I think is a fairly decent shot just on its own, is the 6-5 New England Patriots to win in Tampa against the Buccaneers. So altogether, that gives us odds of 18.25 to 1. So a pound on will return us £19 and 25 English pence. You would think at some point this season, one of those will turn our way, and we will net a tasty little profit. Will it be this week? Tune in next week to find out. But that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of week 10. I will close the book and I will pass you back to Mr. Cook for sign off.
Well, there we go. Week 9 is gone. It was that long ago, we don't even remember it at this point in time. It's a good job that we put it in the history books. Not only the NFL history books, but our very own history book that is kept updated by the co-host with the co-most, Mr. Paul Williams, and it is my job to thank him for destroying me in fantasy football this week and joining me to bring you lovely people the best NFL content on the Tinterwebs. So there we go. Week 9, gone. Week 10, she's coming, and she's coming in fast. We will be starting those games in mere hours by the time this is listened to or even watched. If you fancy seeing our gorgeous faces, you can tune in on the YouTubes. This isn't just the only podcast we have. What we do here is many, many sport-related, mostly, podcasts. We've got, as already mentioned so far, the football podcast will be coming in hot on the heels of this podcast. We have a Formula One podcast, which will also be coming in hot on the heels of this podcast. And yes, the season is wrapping up, heating up, and all of those things. There is a wrestling podcast. I believe we are going to be due one at the back end of the month, but we have 76 other episodes for you to dive into. And if you think, man, I am not bored of listening to that man's voice, you can tune in and listen to me once a week, bore the absolute socks off you for at least an hour, talking mostly about what my children did in the last week and, the different ways I was made angry that week. And there's other things like, games and movies and stuff. There we go. Join us, me and this fabulous human, next week when we'll talk week 10, because it'll have gone by then. We'll look forward to week 11. We'll start to swap recipes for pumpkin pie, cornbread, because, we've got to start getting ready for one of the finest football seasons coming soon. But until then, enjoy the games, get your bets in, drop us a line. If it is you that is trying to get your picks to us through the website, not sure what's going on, it's coming through all in the gobbledygook, so you may want to drop us a social media type message and say, I'm trying to send you some picks, it's not working, and we'll try and work out just exactly what's going on there. Until next week, enjoy your week, enjoy your weekends, enjoy your football. We will catch you next time. Tatty bye.
So there you go. What do you think of that? Week 9 gone. Week 10 to look forward to. Fantastic stuff. I'm sure you'll agree. If it is you that's trying to get in touch with us through the website being thecookiecast.com, please keep trying. We're trying to resolve whatever the issue is. It's coming through in some sort of alien language, and I can't read it. If you want to be more a part of the CookieCast experience, you can like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave reviews where you can leave reviews. And like I say, do go to the website and try and get in touch with us through there. There is an email button. You just click it, and it's supposed to populate an email. That is it for this one. Come back next week where we'll be talking more NFL football. But until then, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode of CookieCast, please like, share and subscribe.